hello again, everyone. Um, so thank you for giving me this opportunity for my classification talk this morning. So I am married to my husband, Greg Geyer, and we have two incredible boxer dogs named Schmidt and Bree. And so I'll start from the beginning. So I was born in Everett, Washington in 1983. So I was an 80s kid growing up. Chris, what is that? Close your mouth. I don't know how to take that. I lived in Everett until I was 6 years old. And then my family moved to Auburn, where I grew up for a while. And I'm taking a page out of the student's handbook today. So my parents' names are Craig and Susan Arrowwood. And my parents moved up to Western Washington in the early 80s from Northern California and from Santa Rosa. My dad is a concert promoter and a small business owner. So back in the 70s and 80s, he promoted and did artist management in Northern California for artists like Elvin Bishop, Moby Grape, Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then when he moved up to the Northwest, he promoted concerts, mostly rhythm and blues and classic rock. So he helped out with the Winthrop Rhythm and Blues Festival back in the 90s. That was one of his big projects. And he also brought artists like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Tom Petty up to the Northwest. And my mom is a dietitian at a skilled nursing facility. So all my life I've been surrounded by great music and delicious food. So I feel very fortunate and grateful for that. In my childhood, I learned about community stewardship and how to foster relationships pretty early on through Girl Scouts. So I was a Daisy, a Brownie, and a Girl Scout from age of 5 to 11. And then at 12 years old, my parents got divorced and I started nannying for a family of 4 kids. I say nannying, but they really took me in. My parents it's kind of a difficult time for my family. And so these family friends took me in and hired me on as a nanny at 12, but really they kind of adopted me in. But so I looked after 4 kids when I was 12 in the ages, so 6 months, 5, 7, and 9. So I grew up with this family, and in 2017, I saw the youngest. So at the time when I met him, he was 6 months old. I saw him graduate from Syracuse with honors in 2017. So that was one of the greatest things that I've ever experienced. As far as school, I attended school through the Auburn School District, and then I went to Green River Community College. And so while at community college, I started a job at an extended stay suite hotel as a front desk clerk. It was called the Larkspur Landing. Within the year, I was promoted to the front office supervisor and learned the ins and outs of running a hotel. And so that was pretty eye-opening at 19 years old. So I was there for 3 years. And then in 2005, I started a job with a digital music company. It was called DMX back then. And so what DMX is a digital music company. So we provided music, video, digital signage, messaging, scent marketing, and audio-visual systems. So if you were to walk into, say, a Nike store and hear the music playing overhead and smell fresh cut grass and see a soccer match playing on a screen, that's what we did. So we worked with marketing teams to put together custom licensed playlists to enhance the store experience. And we also sold and installed sound systems. So speakers, wires, screens, it was the whole experience. And that was for restaurants, hotels, stores, and then for different events as well. So in 2006, I received a promotion and started managing my own book of accounts. So I worked with some of the globe's most iconic brands. So the accounts I partnered with were headquartered in New York, Florida, Texas, California, Colorado. So I was always on the road. And then DMX then became Mood Media through a merger. So it was bought and sold 3 times during my 12 years there. And when I first started at DMX, it was a bustling hub up on Capitol Hill. So we had over 360 employees. We had customer service, marketing, music design. We had our fulfillment center, a whole warehouse. So there's, over 360 employees. And then through all these mergers of being bought and sold, We went from 360 employees to a building up on Capitol Hill. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Jimi Hendrix statue up on Capitol Hill, but that was our statue. So that big white building, that's where we were located. And so then we were condensed, and then we were an office of 12 in Pioneer Square. So we went from this big, massive company to 12. And then in order for me to advance my career, I would have had to move to Austin, Texas. And I'm a born and raised Pacific Northwest girl, and Texas just did not sound like my cup of tea. So I took a sabbatical after 12 years, after working in corporate America. We sold our house. We lived in Edmonds, Washington at the time, and sold our house. I quit my job, which was the scariest thing I'd ever done, walking away from, you know, a 401k and vacation and health insurance and all that. But it was just time. I was really burnt out, and I was never home. And I really loved being home. So yeah, I hit the road for a year and a half. My husband and I traveled the West Coast with our dogs, where we surfed and just reconnected with nature. And it was just a really healing experience. Our goal when we lived in Edmonds was always to move out to Port Angeles. We had a 5-year plan, and we did it in 3. We had to fast track that because that I-5 corridor was getting gnarly, and we just weren't loving it. I think I lived from Edmonds to Pioneer Square was 12 miles, and sometimes it would take, on a good day, an hour and a half to get to work. So I was spending 3 hours commuting to and from work, and so was over it. I remember looking back, and our office in Pioneer Square overlooked Elliott Bay and the Olympic Mountains, and I would find myself just like daydreaming, looking out into the Olympics and being like, I want to be there. That's where I want to be. And so here we are. So we ended up in Port Angeles on our West Coast road trip. And in 2017, we moved here. And I've met some incredible people, and I've worked with some great nonprofits. So my first nonprofit that I worked with was the First Step Family Support Center, where I met Norm. He was on the board there. I was the office manager there, and actually lived 2 doors down from First Step. And so it was a great experience. So that really started my journey in reaching out to the Port Angeles community. From First Step, I joined the United Way as the resource development manager, where I met Tyler and Chris, who were on the board there. And and now they sold me on the Rotary, so here I am with that. And so now I work, like Tyler said, I work for the school district. I'm surrounded by some of the most incredible people I've ever worked with, the hardest working, the things that, I mean, people work around the clock for our kids here, and it's just really inspiring to see this in person and to be a part of a team. I'm honored. So I would say that my superpower in my career is bringing people together, and I'm passionate about helping people and excite them. And I like to tell people stories, and just help celebrate people's accomplishments. And since joining Rotary, I wanted to share that I use the 4-way test when communicating. So this is up in my office. Whenever I'm sending out a press release or just any email or a newsletter to parents or newsletters or to staff or to the media, I use this 4-way test, and it really helps guide me, just like kind of brings me back to, what I'm doing and why I'm here. So since joining, I hope to build further relationships through our club, and I'm grateful to be a part of the Northwestern Rotary to help strengthen our community. So thank you for having me.